Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now we're just going to go through some quick scenarios of wudu to see how well we've understood the fara'id, the sunan, the nawaqid, mustahabbat, and makruhat of wudu. So now everyone should have memorized these 5 things. So the 4 fara'id, the 13 sunan, the 8 nawaqid, the 4 or 5 makruhat, and you can say 4 or 5 mustahabbat. So now that we've memorized them, so now we're applying what we've learnt into real life situations. So when someone comes and asks you, I've done this, does my wudu count or not? So you can tell them, okay, yes, your wudu will count because of such and such a reason. Or you can tell them, no, your wudu will not count because of such and such a reason. So now, the first level of knowledge is memorization, which everyone should have done. The second level of knowledge is now applying what you've learnt to demonstrate your understanding. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some questions very quickly. So whoever knows the answer, just put your hands up. But if I think you don't know it, I might ask you.
Okay.
Just very quickly, number 1. Can you put that away, please? Number 1, when does a person have to perform wudu? Yep.
When he's in a lesser state of impurity. Or is it, wait, which one is it? Is it khafifa or khaliza? One of them.
Right?
Isn't it when before he's going to read the Quran or pray Salah?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, but mine would sound cooler.
Standard cooler, but it's incorrect. Do I have to perform wudu every time I'm in a state of... let's say if I don't have wudu now.
Yeah, but Bilal radiallahu anhu did it. Look where he is.
Okay, but we're talking about fara'id, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so again, we're applying our knowledge of fara'id. So is it fard for me to perform wudu now?
No.
No. Although it might be better to, no one's saying that. It will be good to stay in wudu all the time. But we only need to technically perform wudu, or it's necessary for us when it's time for the salah, or when we want to read the Quran by touching it. Number 2, does wudu need to be performed to read the Quran? Yes, it does. Okay, a lot of these were prepared for younger children. Number 3, what are the 2 main principles of the nawaqid of wudu? So we've learned that before, isn't it? I'm not going to go through that. Okay, number 4. Maryam has an eye infection and a lot of pus is flowing out from her eye. Does this break her wudu?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Why?
Because pus is just like blood. It's got the same rules.
I want you to tell me the principle that we learned. The 2 principles.
Like if it's flowing blood, then that's
not the principle.
No,
Remember our last lesson, nawaqid?
I don't know.
That?
I don't know the principles, but it's if the blood is stagnant in the wound, then it won't break. But if it's like not stagnant,
Listen
it
to the
flows out of the
question.
wound.
So if someone gives you a very specific question, you need to give them a very specific answer.
If the pus is stagnant and doesn't flow out of the wound, then
it's flowing out of the eye. But
yeah, so then
has
it would
an
break
infection,
because it's flowing out of the
and
eye.
a lot of pus is flowing out of her eye.
Yeah, so it would break because it's flowing out of the wound.
I need to know the principle.
The rule is if any impurities comes out of the body and flows. Pus is an impurity, therefore her wudu will break.
Yes, so now we're applying that principle that we learned to this situation, to this specific situation that someone has asked us. So when someone gives you a very specific question, you don't answer it in a very vague way and might even confuse them even more. So the Maryam told us specifically that she has an eye infection and a lot of pus is flowing out from her eye. So the first thing you'll tell her, yes, your wudu is broken. And then secondly, if you want, you can give her a reason to make her understand the fiqh of wudu even better. So then you tell her, the reason is such and such. But first you give her the ruling straight and clear. Yeah.
What are the 2 principles?
We've done them last lesson, so which was anything coming out of the private parts. Oh yeah, you weren't there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You. So number 1, anything coming out of the private parts. And number 2, any impurity flowing out of anywhere from the body. These are 2 main principles that break wudu. Okay, number 5. Osama was performing wudu when he accidentally passed the wind. Does he need to start his wudu again?
Yeah.
He thinks yes. Anyone think different? Everyone agree? Yes?
He doesn't need to start his wudu. No, the part. So all the parts that he done up until he passed wind, he needs to do those again.
Okay, so it needs to restart it basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, because soon let's say halfway through wudu, you passed wind. Now everything that you washed so far has broken now. So you need to re-wash them again. Because he's done a nawaqid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Number 6. Fatima fell asleep while praying salah. Does she need to repeat her wudu?
Oh, I know this one. It's like when she's like leaning on something and like you push her like arm, she'd wake up. Oh, what did you tell me this one?
Yes, you should know this answer.
Can you repeat it?
Fatima fell asleep while praying salah. Does she need to repeat her wudu?
Yes. Oh no.
No.
No, as she's not leaning in. She's not leaning against something.
What if she's in sujood?
Sujood, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that she would not have to repeat her wudu again because the sujood position, like you're allowed to go to sleep.
Yeah, so that's the correct answer. So if you fall asleep in salah, your wudu will not break. The salah is an exception to the rule. So here, was she leaning or not, that doesn't apply. You know, we said if you're leaning or you're lying
You told me
down.
the thing where if you push someone's arm, they like wake up.
Yeah, so that doesn't apply in
Is
this
it-
situation
Is it
because
like
of
if they're
salah.
like in a deep trance of sleep, or like if they're like
Let me finish.
lightly sleeping?
Because salah is an exception to that rule. So because of the hadith, if a person falls asleep in salah, the salah will not break. If someone falls asleep in salah, the salah will not break. Now, whether you're leaning on something, that's outside of salah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in salah, sleeping does not break your wudu as long as you're in the sunnah position. So as long as you're doing salah according to the sunnah, then you fall asleep, your wudu will not break. And this will not break. And this applies in Taraweeh. You see so many people they fall asleep either in sujood. I saw one person for the whole 2 rakats was it. He was in sajda, asleep.
I've done it.
For the whole 2 rakats. Or some, they miss
Never
the
done
salam kind of in tashahud, they fall asleep and then they wake up when everyone stood up for the last rakat. So the wudu will not break. Next one. Number 7. Umar was praying salah and laughed loudly because he heard Muhammad saying something funny. What is the ruling of his wudu?
Oh, under the sun. If someone else hears it, then it'll break it.
Yeah. So now if you laugh loud enough so the person next to you or someone around you can hear you, your salah will break and your wudu will break. And we learnt the reason why in the nawaqid session. So if a person laughs quietly, that only he himself can hear it, then wudu break?
No, but Salah will.
Yes. So his wudu will not break, but his salah will break. And if a person just smiles,
Nothing will happen.
Nothing.
yeah, nothing will break. Although it's not good too because you're standing in front of Allah.
Is it like it's unnecessary action or something?
It is, but it's not excessive unnecessary action. It's excessive unnecessary action which breaks the wudu. Yeah, Amil
If
Kathir.
you smile, would you get
So-
sinful?
It won't be sinful, but it shows that your connection with Allah in your salah is very weak. Because we're standing in front of Rabbul Alameen, our creator, so we should have that fear of Allah in our heart, the love of Allah in our heart. We shouldn't be thinking about anything apart from Allah. So because remember, our salah is our direct conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so imagine if imagine if Allah was standing in front of us. You know, how should we feel? So similarly, that's how our salah should be. So the fact that we're smiling or laughing and thinking about other things shows that our connection in our salah is very weak, which isn't good. Number 8. Why does sleeping while lying down or leaning on something break your wudu? Okay, let's take him down because he missed the nawaqid session. Let's see if he
Because they're
remembers.
like in like a deep trance of sleep.
But why does that break your wudu? That's the question.
Oh, because you're in, because one of the nawakids is I don't know actually. I know actually no. It's because say if you do something in your sleep, like say if you like fart in your sleep, because you're in that heavy trance of sleep, you won't be able to notice.
Yeah, because it's possible that a person can pass wind while he's asleep. So that's, although we won't say as soon as a person falls asleep, we're going to say you've passed wind, because we can't make a judgment. But because while a person is sleeping, it's likely that a person can pass wind, we'll rule that when a person sleeps, we'll just say you have to do wudu again. Yeah, because it's likely that he could have passed wind. Number 9. Khalid is ill and he performs wudu to pray salah. Straight after performing wudu, Khalid vomited so much that he couldn't keep it in his mouth. Does his wudu break?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because, isn't it, if he's vomiting like more than 3 times, then... What was the question again?
Straight after performing wudu, Khalid vomited so much he couldn't keep it in his mouth. Does this break his wudu?
Yeah, because it's over his mouth.
Yes, because it's a mouthful. If you vomit a mouthful, your wudu will break. Number 10. After performing wudu, Hafsa cut her nails. Does her wudu break?
No.
No. So you can just shout out yes or no. Whatever you think. So no, it doesn't break because it's not part of our nawaqid, is it? Zayd was playing outside and fell in mud and made his clothes and body dirty. It is time to pray Asr Salah and remember that he had done wudu before playing outside. Does he need to repeat his wudu?
No.
No.
No, but his namaz won't count because it's one of the, what's the word?
It will count.
What's the word? The requirements of Salah. What's the word?
His namaz will
Conditions?
Conditions of Salah, that's it.
But why won't it count? What has he broken? Which condition?
The condition that your body must be clean and your clothes must be clean.
But what does it refer to by clean?
Like, there's no, like,
There's no
impurity on
impurity.
it.
Impurities. That's what it refers to by
bud's not
clean.
an impurity, is it?
Yeah, so mud is not an impurity. And let's say playing outside, let's say you've been sweating. Is sweat an impurity?
No.
No, sweating is not impurity. Mud is not an impurity. Although he should change his clothes because, standing in front of Allah. But let's say if he didn't, his namaz, his salah will still count. Number 12. Salihah made some chapati for dinner. She performed wudu and decided to pray Maghrib Salah. So, let's say a girl or a woman, she was making something with dough. And then after she performed her wudu, when it's time for Maghrib Salah, and then she performed the Maghrib Salah. So then, after praying, she realized that there was some dough stuck in her fingernails. What is the ruling of her Salah? Does she have to repeat her Salah? Zarif, what do you think?
Wait, did she go
doesn't.
to Salah? Like, did she do wudu?
No, because you have to wash your
Yeah, so first she was making something with dough, and then she done wudu, and then salah, and after praying salah, she realized that there's some dough stuck in her fingernails. Does she need to do a salah again, or is it fine? If someone asks you that
She
question,
needs to do wudu again and then...
why do you say that?
Because if, like, something is covering her, part of her body, like, body skin, so...
Does anyone else agree with Zarif?
I think
I agree with
you
that.
do have to redo it because it's like nail polish, like it covers up part of the bit that you have to wash.
Yes, well done, Zarif. Yeah? So now, because the fara'id of wudu haven't been done, isn't it? So remember, even if a dot is left dry of the fara'id, the whole wudu does not count. So now the skin underneath her fingernails has been left dry because of the dough, so her wudu will not count. You'll need to tell her to remove the dough, and then you'll tell her to... Does she need to do the full wudu again?
Just the fingernails.
Yeah, she just needs to wash her fingernails, or just the hands basically, just wherever was dry, and then she needs to repeat her wudu. So that's what you'll tell her. And then you tell her why, to give her advice for the future. Yeah.
What if she's certain that the water has seeped through the dough and it made the things wet?
It's not possible. If it seeped through, then the dough would have come out.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that it's still there shows that it hasn't seeped through.
What if it's something like sponge? So sponge will get wet, right? So
How do you
then
get sponge
that,
underneath your fingernails?
that gets wet. So.
Yep.
I've got
The
sponge
part
in my
that is
fingers.
attached depends. You have to see. Okay, why would you get sponge in your fingernails?
I've done that before. Like, it just got stuck.
Sponge.
Yeah, like sponge, like cleaning.
Because it'll be a small amount, so it won't. I'd still think that you'd have to remove it and rewash it.
Okay.
And especially because it's worship, you should take the precautionary opinion. It should be as safe as possible. Number 13. Zahra was putting her scarf on after doing wudu when she accidentally pricked her thumb with her scarf pin. The blood did not leave the wound or spread. Does she need to repeat her wudu?
No.
No. Why?
Blood did not leave the wound.
Yeah, because it didn't flow. Only flowing blood breaks your wudu. Number 14. Hasib is very ill and needs to pray salah. While doing wudu, he only does the 4 fara'id of wudu and left out all the sunan on purpose. Is his wudu still valid?
Yes, but it's just disliked.
So because he's ill, the wudu won't be disliked either. Because just the
it's
one-off.
Optional.
Yeah, because it's just the one-off and he's ill as well, so he's only required to do the fara'id, it's fine. Number 15. While performing wudu, Bilal and Zayd were talking about their mosque work. Is the wudu valid?
Yes, because it's worldly.
Yeah, but
It will be valid, it'll just be disliked because it's a worldly matter.
yeah, so you advise the person not to talk about these things in wudu.
I thought that's good because it's like it's mosque work, so
Still be focusing on wudu.
Yeah, it's still better to focus on wudu. But although you'll tell the person that the wudu is fine, the wudu is valid. Yeah.
What if you're talking about Allah and you're doing wudu? Would that be good or bad?
Depends.
Yeah, but I think you should just be focusing on wudu.
It's
like
better
talking
still
about
focus on wudu, although it's not as bad as just talking about worldly things.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, number 16. Khalid is performing wudu and someone knocks on the door. He accidentally cuts his finger when opening the door. A lot of blood was flowing. Khalid returns back to complete his wudu. Does he have to start his wudu again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he does. Why? Because his wudu just broke, isn't it?
Yep.
Number 17. Maryam washes her hair. Thereafter she dries it. So Maryam, she washes her hair and then she dries her hair. After 1 hour, it is time to perform salah. So Maryam performs the whole wudu except wiping her head. Is her wudu valid?
Yes, because it's just sunnah to make sure the hair's like everything's alright. And
Okay.
it's disliked because he hasn't done it in order.
Zarif, what do you think?
Yeah.
So the wudu counts. Why?
Because like, she's done the fara'id and sunnah is just if it's necessary. She doesn't. It's optional, but it's good to do it.
Well, you should do it. It's not just good to do it. You should be doing it.
Yeah.
It'll be sinful if you even miss it all the time. Yeah, but is her wudu done? So what would you advise for next time?
Do it all
To
in one go.
include sunnah.
So which sunnah is this in particular?
Do you mean must of the whole head?
Yeah.
Which sunnah did you
It's
leave out?
to firstly to do in order because
Yeah.
she washed her hair first,
Yeah.
and it's to make sure that a limb is not dry. A previous limb is not dry when washing the next one.
Yeah, so she left out two sunnahs. One is that the wudu wasn't done in order because she done the masa first, isn't it, an hour ago? And the other one could be to wash each part before the other part dries. So she done masa, let that dry, and then she done the rest of the wudu, isn't it? So she left out two sunnahs. So you'd advise her that, this is disliked, it would have been better for you to do masa of your head, although your wudu is done. Just a few questions left. 18. Ismail went swimming and then went to pray salah straight after without doing his wudu. Does Ismail's prayer count?
His prayer counts because as he went swimming, all of his like body was wet. So like that was his wudu done.
Yeah. So if you go swimming and all your body is wet, are you the full fara'id done? You don't need to do wudu again. It would be better to, for extra rewards, but you don't have to. So likewise, if a person takes a shower or takes a bath, you don't have to perform wudu again when it's time for salah. As long as obviously you don't do anything to break your wudu.
So how when you do ghusl, you do like how's on the sunnah of ghusl to do wudu after?
No, so that's before you do the ghusl. When
Oh,
you're
is
starting
it?
the ghusl. Which is the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's how we do ghusl. He'd start by doing wudu and then he'd wash the rest of his body. Yeah.
Like, what if you don't notice there's been blood in the swimming pool?
Oh yeah, that's true. The water could be impure because like impure blood went in it.
Yeah, but then the water.
Oh no,
would,
the
like,
water's
take over.
flowing because they've got like the machines and stuff,
it's-
don't they?
Yeah, number one, normally it's flowing water,
Yep.
and number two, there's a lot of purifiers in that water. So if there is impurity, it gets filtered out quite quickly. So it should be fine. That shouldn't be an issue. Yeah.
What if you're in a swimming pool? No, what if you're in a bath and then the blood comes out a little bit?
Then
The
that
bl-
water would be impure in the
'Cause the
bath.
blood isn't flowing.
But what if it's like extreme, like small amount?
Okay, that's a very good question. What if it's a small amount and it
yeah.
hasn't flown? So whatever does not break your wudu is not an impurity.
Is it?
Let me finish. So whatever does not flow or is not an impurity. So since that small amount of blood will not have broken your wudu, so that's why that small amount of blood will not be considered as an impurity. So it will not make the bath impure.
So such a small amount that wouldn't.
Yeah, it's not. We're not even consider it as impure because that which is impure is flowing blood. So if blood is not flowing, it's not impure.
Also,
Yeah.
didn't you say it's like the 50p thing? Like the size of the 50p coin to make something impure?
Yeah, so, but that won't apply here because we're in a bathtub, isn't it?
Yeah, but
So how will you tell him, was it a PCB coin size? How would you apply that?
already mixed, isn't it?
Yeah. So there you look at, did it, the quantity of the blood and then did it flow or not?
no, but
Next question. Ismail has a very bad cut on his hand and he has a plaster over it. How should he do wudu?
because you know, I've had personal experience with this. You do wudu as normal until you get to that part, and then you make masa of the fingers, and then you like brush all the excess water off and just make masa of the cast.
Yeah, so he has a very bad cut on his hand and he has a plaster over it. So let's say if the cut is here, you wash the rest of your hand and then you'll do masa on the plaster. Well, no, generally plasters can be washed, isn't it? So just wash it. You can just wash it. Unless you can't. Yeah.
But if it doesn't cause any harm, if the water doesn't cause any harm on the wound, then he should take it off and wash.
Yeah, but generally it will cause harm if you have a bad cut.
Yeah, but like if it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, if it doesn't, then yes, you should remove it. Then that means like you don't even need a plaster in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could like stop the flowing of blood though.
Yeah.
Like, because you could have like a really small cut that just
Okay.
flows blood.
Yeah. So in that case, you will have to remove the plaster and do wudu. But if it will harm you, it'd be difficult. Then just leave it on. Next one. Ruqayya had done wudu. Before performing the Isha Salah, she brushed her teeth with a miswak. When she brushed her teeth, she noticed a bit of blood flowing out of her gums. Does she need to do wudu? So she already has wudu, and she thought, okay,
no.
it's Isha time. I'm going to ask Yasin for this one. I haven't asked him for a long time.
So did the last question.
So before she performed that Isha Salah, she thought, okay, let me do miswak. And then some blood came out. What would you tell her regarding her wudu?
Firstly, if the quantity of blood overpowers the quantity of saliva, then her wudu will not count. But if the color of the blood is quite like mild, like yellowy, like not red, then that means that the saliva is overpowering the blood. So therefore, her wudu will count.
Yeah, well done. So that's what you'll tell her. So you'll ask about the quantity of the blood. So if the saliva after she spit it out was reddish or dark orangish, then we'll say that the wudu is broken. If it's less than that, then we'll say the wudu is not broken. Maryam is performing wudu and cleaned her nose with her left hand. Is her wudu still valid? Yes, it is still valid, but it's not good. Zahra doesn't have wudu. But she needs to quickly move the Quran. What should she do? Okay, that's a good question.
Oh.
Okay, Zarf, he's been quiet. Zahra doesn't have wudu, but she needs to quickly move the Quran. What should she do?
I think she should. I think it
Do
depends. I think she should do wudu.
Make her go all the way up and do wudu and come back. She just quickly needs to move it. She needs to go somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh,
because a cat might drop it.
I think she has to do
You know,
the shahada what you do.
no, it's not
She
common.
needs to do the shahada.
No, wait, I'm not.
Yes, we become
What
Muslim.
it's called?
She's always Muslim, huh?
That's it.
What?
Put it on.
Tayammum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Let me. Okay,
Okay.
end that.
So what you do is you grab something like a cloth, like, and put it around the Quran, and just hold the cloth instead of
Oh,
the
I was
actual
gonna
Quran.
say
I
that.
was gonna say
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah, you were gonna say that, weren't you?
Can she wear gloves and then get it?
Okay, that's a very good
Because
question.
that's still a covering. That's still a covering between her skin and the Quran.
That's a very good question. I'm going to explain that. What she needs to do. So I'm going to merge all together. So what she needs to do. Let's say there's a Quran here. She needs to take a cloth or a towel. Anything would do. Just try. It shouldn't be something dirty or so respect to the Quran. So take a piece of cloth, and then you take the Quran and you put it somewhere else. Okay, so your hand is not touching it. Okay, now the question about can you do it with gloves? No, you cannot do it with gloves. The ruling here is that the piece of cloth that you use has to be separate from your body. It should not be something which is attached to your body. So like let's say the sleeves. So I can't use my sleeves and then hold the Quran and then put it down because this is something which is attached to my body. So it's seen as if it's me that's touching the Quran. Whereas if I use an external cloth, let's say this jacket was off. Let's say it was on the thing. I can take this jacket and wrap it around the Quran and put it there. But if it's on my body, I cannot. Okay, Yasin, put his hand up first and I'll take that.
So it's same. So it's same with the glove. So you can. So you have the glove in your drawer. So you get the glove out and you wrap it around like that.
Yeah. So if the glove's not on your hand, then you can use the glove to.
Wait, what about a bag? Like, say if you have a work bag around you, is that attached to your body?
No, that's fine. It's seen as something which is separate.
Where is the fidget spinner?
Because not, I've seen you've got like a bag like around your.
So it applies to those Qurans. You know those Qurans which have a cover on it. So you know, it's like a made out of fabric or something.
Oh,
so
yeah.
as soon as it's just attached to the cover.
What,
so when you
like
open,
leather Qurans?
yeah. So when you open the Quran, the cover opens with it. So just basically, you know, normal
Oh,
book cover.
the ones with the zips.
Yeah, the one they have the zips.
Like when you do the zips.
So to touch that cover, you need to have wudu because now this is a part of the Quran now. So if the cover opens while you open the Quran, it's seen as part of the Quran now. So you need to have wudu to touch that cover. But if it's like an external cover, let's say you have a wrap, let's say you have the Quran is wrapped in a piece of cloth. You know the olden day, the ones I used to have. I'm not sure if you guys remember.
That's
Then-
the one with the string.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
that you
remember.
can touch. You can touch because that's not part of the Quran as such. It's seen, yeah,
I've still got those.
because it's external. So this one's easy. Sarah wears a very tight ring and nothing can get underneath it. Does Sarah's wudu count?
Nope, Faraid is to wash the whole hands and the ring would have covered up.
Yeah,
patch
so
of
if
it.
the ring prevents the water from touching the skin, the wudu will not count, which is very easy. Okay, this is an important question. Aisha did her wudu an hour ago, but now she's unsure if she has wudu.
Oh,
What should she do?
so the first thing you should think, if you did the wudu or not, that's the first thing you should do. And second,
Almost.
I don't know, something like that.
Okay, so she tells you that she clearly remembers doing wudu an hour ago. So that's the first step. So now the rule is that she has wudu, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah? So since the time that she's done wudu, she has wudu. Now, an hour has gone by, and she cannot remember to doing anything which will break what she already knows. So since she cannot remember doing anything, we'll still rule that the default state is she has wudu, isn't it now? So now just having doubt will not break her default state of having wudu.
What's the one where that will break wudu?
Okay, have you understood this first?
Yeah.
Yes, so just having doubts will not break her default state of knowing that she has wudu. So then they will rule, just assume that you have wudu.
When will doubt break wudu though?
Okay, so that's the first situation. The second situation is, now let's say she comes to you and she tells you, I think I done wudu an hour ago, but I'm not sure.
So that will only break wudu if wudu hasn't been done in the first place.
So now,
I get it.
does she know with certainty
No,
that she has wudu?
so she
Okay,
says,
so now
I think I've done it.
Yeah, so now there is no default state of does she have wudu or doesn't she have wudu. So there, and she says, she tells you, okay, I can't remember. You'll tell her, you'll ask her, can you remember doing wudu in the first place? She says, no, I can't remember. Then you'll tell her, okay, you need to do wudu again, because now she doesn't even have a foundation of being in wudu.
Yep.
That's weak. So then so that's the difference. You need to, if someone asks you these questions, the first thing you need to tell them, ask them,
Have
is
you done wudu first?
do you remember doing wudu or not? And if she says yes, then you say, okay, if you can't remember breaking it, you still have wudu. But if you can't remember doing wudu in the first place, then you'll tell them to do wudu again. And that's our, okay, last question. Aisha had done wudu and then blew her nose. She noticed dry clots of blood on her tissue. Does this break her wudu?
It's not flowing.
Yes, because it's not flowing blood. So that's why just having dry clots of blood will not break the wudu. It needs to be flowing blood. Any questions?
No.
Okay, we'll finish there. I'm gonna pause.